The QBD Podcast.
The Marketing Pow Wow.
Search is going to change. We said this will happen. For me, would have been a catastrophe. Frankly, they were so wrong. You can no longer just subscribe to one platform. Biggest change in search over the last 20 years is happening right now. Make your content relevant, make it helpful. If you use ChatGPT to create your content, you will fail. And actually, you can do more damage than good. It's very easy to kind of lose trust.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the QBD Marketing Pow Wow. This is part 2 of my conversation with Paul Dyer from QBD, our in-house SEO specialist. So let's get into the Marketing Pow Wow.
The QBD Podcast.
The Marketing Pow Wow.
Do you just want to touch a little bit around some of those, certainly around authority and trust of that EEAT model, just so businesses can sort of shore up a little bit about what's ahead of them?
For sure. I think, without a doubt, Google laid down some of the guidelines. And as you quite rightly say, good SEO is still good SEO.
Yeah.
We're not suggesting that everything you've learned about SEO is pointless and worthless. It's clearly not. Everything we've learned about SEO we still value. Yeah. We're continually updating, of course, but search engine optimization is still as valid today as it was 5 years ago.
It's more of an evolution, isn't it, rather than the ripping up of the rule book?
Absolutely, it's evolving. And many of the generative search platforms are based around good SEO practice, if you like. So if you haven't got good SEO practice in place, the chances of showing up in generative search results are pretty zero.
Yeah.
So we have to start with good SEO, and good SEO has not massively changed. It will just evolve, as you say. But in terms of the authority and the trust, if you take our own situation, for example, we went out 2 years ago and started talking about the changes that were going to happen in search. We quickly became an authority in this area. People started listening to us and saying, well, these guys are talking about this, but nobody else is, or very few people are. And you only had to search for these things that we were talking about to see how few results you would find from any agency talking about this. So without doubt, you can build authority by actually having a view, and one of the things that we say to people over and over again, if when you're creating content for your website, is have a view. Don't just repeat what other people are saying. If nothing else, analyze the data and build a report around it. Put your name to it. Have a view. Say something about it, because it's only by doing things like that you build authority. And then what you need to do is you need to make sure that other people are starting to listen to you and actually then linking to you and saying, I read a really great article on the QBD website last week. You can see it here. And they link to our website. And that link helps to build authority. You have to have that. It also helps to build trust. So building trust and authority, you do it in two ways. You do it with the engines. You do it with the robots, if you like. And you make sure that they recognize you're an authority, they recognize you and trust you, and they do that through understanding the linking structure largely that's around the content that you create. And your clients and your customers build confidence around maybe what you go out and talk about. The fact that we went out on the roadshow and we did up and down the country, week in, week out, these events, telling people about the changes that were coming, that in itself built confidence with individuals. You've experienced this, I've experienced it, where people come from, you do a presentation for an hour or so in a room, at the end of it you go and mingle, have a coffee and talk to people, and they come to you and say, we need to work with you guys. Yeah. You clearly are the authority on this subject. You clearly know what you're doing. And we don't, and we need to work with you guys. And that's why we do the roadshows, because they generate so many inquiries for us. But also we do it because we need to be on authority in our own right. We need to establish that presence. So whatever your business is, whatever you do as an organization, you need to build your authority. Yeah. You need to build it with the robots. And something that I've talked about for many years, which is always been controversial, is marketing to robots.
To robots, yeah.
And, from an SEO point of view, Google has been telling us, write content for humans and we'll reward you. And I absolutely get that. And we write content by humans, by the way. We don't use generative text for content that we create. We write our own content for our clients and for our own website ourselves. And we will continue to do that. But when we write it for two audiences. We write it for the humans, but we are a little bit cuter than just doing that because we also write it for the robots. We have to market this content to the robots. Because something that I've always said, anyone that knows me from 20 years ago talking about search will know that I've always said that you can have a website, you can build content, you can create it. The only people that get to see that content, most people that only get to see that content are the people that the Google robots decide to show it to. So somebody comes along to Google, they type something in. It's the robots that decide how relevant this question is to the content that's on your website. And it goes and gets your website out of the Google filing system and shows it to that audience. The only other people that see it are the people that you personally drive traffic to at a conference, and you say, go and take a look at this page. They go there. But other than that, the people you meet and greet that you tell to go there, or by word of mouth, other means, or other advertising methods, 90% of the traffic that comes to your website is driven by Google's own robot system. And it's understanding the algorithm, it's understanding how the robots work, enables us to market your website to those robots. And that's why I will never stop talking about marketing to robots, even though it's controversial because we should be marketing to humans. We do market. In fact, we are part, as you know, Rich, of an organisation called Marketing for Humans, where we preach about the power of this whole area. But under the hood, we have to continually market to those robots, and we have to stay ahead of that. And that's where SEO has just suddenly got far more complicated because all of these other platforms have got their own robots, they've got their own systems, their own ideas about the way they want to bring content to the user, whether it's voice, whether it's image, whether it's through code searches, multimodal type searches of some kind. A different type of robotic sequence is being used to bring those results to the page. We need to understand that. We need to be able to interpret that and bring it to our clients to make sure they get representation.
I've often said it's a bit like a Venn diagram. So you've got the writing it for the humans in the one circle and the writing it for the robots in the other. And it's that magic bit in the middle that thankfully John, our head of content, nails every single time, that you can get that bit right. And I was at a networking event a couple of weeks ago where a phrase that people listening to this will have heard countless times of people buy from people, and everyone subscribes to that. I certainly agree with it as well. People buy from people, but I was sat there thinking, what do people buy from people, but via a robot? Like, where does the robot come into this equation?
Without a doubt, that every single thing that happens almost starts with a search. It starts with a question, whether we ask the question of another human being or whether we ask the question of a search engine of some sort. But almost everything starts with a query. Every single order that people receive on their internet website, every single inquiry they get via the internet starts with some kind of search query. And yes, that prompt can be into Google, it could be into a voice prompt, it could be into a generative inquiry system of some sort. However, it starts with a question, and the first people to listen to that question is a robot. Unless you're asking the question like we are talking across the table today. But in a lot of these research areas, people are asking a search engine a question. So it's the robots that then look at that question. They decide how to route that question, and they decide who is going to get the answers, and which websites, if you like, are going to get served. You can buy your way in, of course, with by paying to be at the top of Google to a certain extent with paid ads. But to most people, the results are in the algorithms, and those algorithms are a robotic process. So it's understanding that. That's why marketing to robots is still a thing and will always be a thing. And it's understanding that will put you ahead of the game. So you're right. That first query, that first question is kind of like it's a robot that almost steers it, and it might steer that user to your website, who then might pick up the phone and call you. Great, that's exactly the inquiry you want, and then it's down to you, and it's that people buying from people factor that then cuts in, isn't it? But it's the vehicle that's got you there, it's the vehicle that's generated that inquiry, which is still driven largely by a robotic sequence. And it's if we don't understand that and we don't acknowledge that as a sequence of events that we need to understand, you can't conquer it.
No, and it's getting the robots, as we keep referring to, as sort of on your side, really, of getting them on the right side of it, and just touching back on everything we've spoken today, really, in terms of understanding how this new way of search is going. That the research that someone might have done previously about what new car should I buy? They might have Googled a couple of things, and then they would have sort of gone into your marketing funnel if you've got something like that from your business. It's just going to happen more and more sort of away from you as a business, isn't it? Because it's these AIs that might do that research and help them decide on things. And the buyer's journey, that's something else we're very familiar with, that we talk about a lot with people, is that these robots are just going to sort of assist people through that buyer's journey so much more before they even touch base with you.
Without a doubt. And in fact, at the time of recording this, we're on the cusp of the sort of introduction of deep research, is the way that it's being kind of termed in AI search terms. And deep research, you might think, well, that sounds deep, and it is. And in fact, if we look at the way that most large language models are working today, as I mentioned earlier, they're kind of they've just learnt the internet. They've learnt what we've been saying on the internet for a long time. They've learnt that. And in fact, it's quite funny, actually. In the early days of ChatGPT 3, it only learnt the internet up to, I think, September 21 or something.
It was out of date,
and it was out of date. And so anything that you did, that you ask the cricket results for the last week, it didn't know, because it hadn't learnt that. Well, of course, that's changed, and it's now much more up to date. But the reality is that the way search engines have worked, generative search engines have worked, is they've learnt the internet. And if you look at ChatGPT, if you subscribe to their services, when you log into ChatGPT, you've got a drop-down menu, and you might have 3 or 4, maybe 5 even, different types of chat bots that you can interface to. They're more powerful ones, like O3, for example, and then the entry-level ones. But basically, you have to decide. You have to decide which one you're going to use. Some cost more than others to use, of course, and you use more credits up, and et cetera, et cetera. But it's kind of like confusing, and actually a lot of people coming to use these products for the first time are very confused by the way that chat search engines, if you like, interface to humans. Part of the challenge that most AI services have got is to simplify that. And in fact, Sam Altman was recorded recently as saying that he wants to simplify that interface. And I think we'll see the new versions of ChatGPT that are going to be launching over the next couple of months with a much more simpler interface. And one of the ways of doing that is to put a router between you and the system. So you only basically enter a prompt into one box. The router behind that decides where to send that. Is this something that's kind of like complicated that needs a bit of processing, or do I know the answer to this easily? And if it knows the answer easily, I'll send it to its simplest format, large language model response engine, if you like, to generate that response, and it will generate it quickly. Something you've asked which is more complicated, that requires more processing, it will route to a different server and a different system, and it will use much more processing. It will take longer. You'll see it thinking. In fact, the latest versions will show the thinking process. And in fact, if you look at Grok 3 from XAI, then you'll see that it actually shows the thinking process on the screen. Incredible, actually, to see it doing it. It can take minutes to think through a problem and then give a result. Deep research is going on another level again, where you mentioned about buying a car. You might think deep research is only going to be for scientists and analysts working at very complicated things and everything else. But I'm a consumer. I want to buy a new car. I might go in and say, well, do some deep research on the best type of 4x4 to buy. These are the models that I'm specifically interested in. But there might be others out there that I don't know about. And I want to know the advantages. I want to know the benefits of each of these models. Do some research, draw some charts, bring me the analysis, and bring me the results, please.
So it's based on like mileage, usage, all
It
those sorts of
could be
things,
any number of things.
Yeah.
It could be things that I haven't even thought about, actually. I'm just saying, tell me what I don't know, actually, in some of these situations. Because what deep research will do is it will go away and it will process potentially for quite a long time. You might have to go away, make some coffee and come back, but you will get very detailed, if you like. The claim is an analyst level sort of document that comes back that kind of is very, very deep in its research. And and actually almost presenting you with new thought processes that you hadn't thought of before. So not just telling me, because I asked to give me a comparison of boot sizes, it didn't just do that. It might have said, well, you also need to consider this and this and this, which I hadn't thought about. And that's what deep research is kind of promising. Read the small print at the moment on deep research, and it says, we still can't guarantee this to be correct. Deep research may throw up results around what is purely rumours. We might not be able to distinguish between rumour and fact. So all the disclaimers are in there. And I get that, because it's early days. We're in the almost sort of beta areas of this. But this is powerful stuff. And again, if you think about why is that impacting search? Well, actually, if you were researching buying that car, or if you were researching, starting a new business up in a particular sector, but you got deep research to do all the research for you, you wouldn't have visited all the websites yourself personally. You'd have just got back a load of data. You would have then had to have searched again for the inquiry level websites you want to go to maybe start making more purchases, new business, working out who your suppliers are going to be. If you were forced to do that research as an individual, chances are you would have already bumped into some of these people along the way. You'd have actually gone to a website and said, actually, these boys really know their stuff. Google's or a search engine that's doing generative deep search might have just gone in there, whipped out some information and brought it back. You would have gone in there and seen a whole world of information and a trusted player that could have influenced your decision to buy from them. So again, if you're not showing up in deep search, and deep search is taking away a lot of that customer contact point that you might have had, potential customer contact point you might have had, that's going to impact search. So every single thing that's happening in AI generative results is impacting search, whether it's a simple inquiry through to very complex, deep research stuff, which is just coming onto the horizon and will be a big thing through 2025 and beyond. We're at ChatGPT 5 just about now. Where are we going to be at ChatGPT 7, 8, 9, 10? Where's Gemini going with version 3, 4, 5, 6? This is scary stuff. Sam Altman was on a YouTube video that I watched just this last day or two, where he's talking to an audience and asking them who thinks that they know more than ChatGPT 4. A lot of people put their hand up. Who knows more than 4.5? A few hands go up. Who knows more than ChatGPT 5? Maybe 1, 2 hands. And it's kind of like, well, actually, I don't think I know as much as ChatGPT 5. ChatGPT 5 is going to know more than anybody. And that's kind of scary. And what's happening with the new versions of search is that they're going to bring new thoughts, new ideas, new information that wasn't there before, which is the quantum change that we're talking about. And as a search engine specialist, as an SEO specialist, as a generative engine optimization specialist, we, QBD, need to understand where all that's headed. We need to stay alongside it, get ahead of it where we can, but certainly not get left behind. And what we've proven over the last 2 years is we can do exactly that.
It's funny you say that. That was exactly my next point, that it feels like we're in a similar place where we were 2 years ago, where we were sat in this very building and you were saying, search is about to change, we've got to be on this. And everything you said then was right, and we're seeing that now, and it feels like this is the next level wave of that.
Without a doubt, Rich, nobody can be 100%. You might say we got a little bit lucky with the last predictions, and we were, I would say, 100% correct, actually. Yeah. I don't think there's anything we predicted that hasn't happened. Even including the downfall of things like Bard and so on. We just got it all right. But, and I think we are pretty much right with what we're saying now. As you know, I'm glued to this stuff. I live and breathe it. And without a doubt, this is a massive change. We've seen a massive change in the last 2 years. The next 6 months, again, is going to be massive. The way that, the way technology is getting better, that Nevada are developing, newer, faster chips, the cost of entry, whilst it's come down somewhat, is still extremely high. But the spin-offs means that there's actually there are now clusters of individuals who have the skill set but maybe lack the money. There are people out there with the money that can marry up with the skill sets. So, is it right for Amazon to go and get into bed with some of these organizations and develop, from a position of strength, or will they just develop on their own? They're smart people. They know the way to do this. And I think, there's no question that we're going to see more and more change. Will we see more consolidation? I don't know. We're in a position where years ago, people would have just bought people. We've seen Elon Musk try to buy OpenAI, but he's already got his own AI platform with XAI. So, what was the plan? It's clear. It's to take control. It's to bring ownership. It's to control the competition. And but people are more resistant to that. And as long as there are the geniuses out there that can spin out and then get funding, we'll see this continue to grow. Yeah. And I think that without a doubt, consolidation will be a factor in this. There will be more mergers and more acquisitions. It's going to happen. It's bound to. But for every one of those, there's going to be a spin-off. There's going to be somebody financing something, because governments are getting involved with this now. AI is actually a massive political thing. It affects things like defence, security. This is not just search engine where people are looking for the latest bargains online. AI is affecting the way that the way that our kind of security as a nation is being affected or could be affected. And this is big stuff. So governments are getting involved massively in understanding. We've got summits on AI trying to control the development. There's been European summits around AI that have said you can no longer do this, you can no longer do that. I remember looking at the EU summit on AI a few years ago, and some of the results that they were bringing, they're laughable. The kind of control they thought they would be able to get on AI, they had no chance at the time. They've got no chance now at all. So, it's going to be down to the really big political players to try and get a lid on AI from a development point of view and make it for the good.
What would be your takeaways for businesses since this? What things they need to have just in their mindset? What's on the horizon for the next few months? They just either want to check with their own marketing teams, or if they do outsource their marketing to another agency, what are the takeaways that you would just say they need to have on their notes?
The single biggest thing is generative search, without a doubt. So, we predicted it. It's now here in quite a big way. AI overviews is probably the single most obvious manifestation of that, if you like, in the way that it's starting to dominate on every platform. So without a doubt, there's a lot you can do now. And whilst a lot of this stuff is moving at a pace and there's lots of players and there's lots of movement from different people, you kind of have to just get in the moment as well. So right here, right now, right today, good SEO is still good SEO. Yeah. So, make sure that your platform that you have, your website, get it tested by someone that understands SEO. If you're not sure, reach out to us at QBD. We can certainly help. We offer a free service to look at your website, give you a kind of audit of where you are and what you might need to do. That's all kind of free. So reach out to us or reach out to another good quality provider of those kind of services and make sure that you get that audit done. Find out where you are right now. And the things that you need to change, get and change them. Don't just do the report and then walk away. Get and do those changes. Get your core SEO absolutely bang on the money, because that's really, really important and will not change. But you also need to be aware of the changes that are coming that will allow you to get indexed in these broader search platforms that are now appearing, particularly things like AI overviews. That's the one you need to get on top of quickly. Again, we know how to do that. So, working with an agency like QBD or another agency that understands AI overviews and can prove to you that they can rank.
It's the proof. That's the key thing, isn't it?
Get the proof. Ask them to show you other clients that they have placed in those situations. If they can't do that, then walk away, because you're just going to waste money. And double check. If they say we place this client, ring that client and ask them, did you use this agency to get you there? Because people will make claims that they placed. Unfortunately, there's a lot of that goes on. So do your due diligence around it. But you need right now. What you need to do, if you're talking about what you need to do over the next few months, even the next 12 months. Make sure your SEO platform is rock solid. Make sure that you've got a good audit. Make sure you listen to a good agency around the things you need to change. Implement those changes. Follow their instructions around content. Make sure you're getting the content written professionally. Get it written by humans. Do not use ChatGPT to write your content. I spent, as you know, probably 18 months up in the country, and one of my big points that I made in every slide deck that I had was, if you use ChatGPT to create your content, you will fail. And the companies that have used ChatGPT to write their content have failed. That's one of the big changes that came out, during last year, the end of last year, was the fact that Google completely smacked down any kind of AI created content massively and looked for that, sort of route and changed it. It was very easy to game it for a while, but they've changed that. So, get it written by humans, write the content in a passion, be an authority, link it well, get it linked to, and make sure you're doing that stuff. Those are the things you need to do, writing good content, it has to have the right search keyword density. It has to be, it has to be analysed by someone that understands SEO. It needs to have the right sort of metadata attached to it. So, this is simple stuff that most SEO agencies could do. More difficult for you to do yourself. But if you're doing those things and you're taking that approach, you will start to do well generally in search. You need to then be very specific around what's changing in the generative search engine area. And you need to be listening to people like QBD who understand it really well and can get you placed. It's not easy. And we used to say, do not try this at home, because chances are you're screwed up. And actually, you can do more damage than good. It's very easy to kind of lose trust. And then it takes a while to get it back. So tread carefully, follow the advice of a good agency, make sure you understand that good SEO is still good SEO, make sure you've got that core base right. Build on that from a generative search engine point of view by talking to an agency that understands how to rank in AI overviews. And in my opinion, at the moment, there aren't many that know how to do that. So you've got a limited choice of agencies to talk to, and certainly QBD are one of those.
Talk to us.
Talk to us.
Yeah. That's been great. Thanks for sharing all the knowledge today, Paul. It's really interesting, and as we said, it's exciting times ahead. It's turbulent times ahead, but also great opportunities for businesses to take on the things we've covered today and really help grow their business.
It's been a pleasure as always, Rich.
Thanks again to Paul for joining us today. It's been wonderful to have you in the studio and for you to share your experiences with us on the show. You can find out more about the importance of SEO on our website. Don't forget, you can send your digital marketing questions to us and we'll answer them on the show. You can contact us on powwow@qbd.co.uk or simply send us a message through any of our social channels. All the links are in the show notes. And don't forget to like, subscribe and share the podcast so others could enjoy our content on digital marketing. I look forward to joining you again on the Digital Marketing Pow Wow.
The QBD Podcast.
The Marketing Pow Wow.